The Roman Empire left a huge footprint in most of Western Europe. Its official language, Latin, was no exception to that. No one questions that Spanish, Italian, French, Portuguese, or Catalan are languages that are descended from one single language, which is Latin. Even though these languages seem to have gone through many changes, they seem to have gone through many changes in syntax, phonology, morphology, and other aspects of linguistics. In this video, we're going to analyze what some of these changes are by comparing a few Latin sentences with Catalan, my native tongue. We can very often find sentences in Romance languages that don't seem to bear any resemblance to their classical Latin translation. This is because many of the words might not even be related to each other. They may not have descended from the same word. Our first sentence is Frater meus domum valde bellam habet, meaning my brother has a very beautiful house. The Catalan translation of this sentence is El meu germà té una casa molt bonica. At this point, you must have already realized that these two sentences look very different from each other. In fact, the only derivation that we can find here is meus in Latin and meu in Catalan, which is the possessive masculine singular pronoun, or my. Then we have frater in Latin, meaning brother. The Catalan word germà is obviously not descended from frater, but frater is in fact a cognate of the English word brother, coming from the same Proto-Indo-European root. On the other hand, germà comes from a different root. This word is unrelated to Germanus, in the sense of relative to Germanic tribes. The word comes from Germanus, which meant of brothers or of siblings, coming from the root germen, meaning bud or seed. Catalan actually has a descendant of the word frater, which is frare, but nowadays it doesn't mean brother, it means friar or monk. Then we have domum, which is the accusative form of the word domus, meaning house. The Catalan word for house is casa, coming from classical Latin casa. But in classical Latin, this term specifically meant hut or cottage, so the general word for house or dwelling was indeed domus. Then we have valde, meaning very, and coming from the Latin root validus, meaning strong or valid. The Catalan word for the adverb very is mol, coming from multus in Latin. Multus is an adjective that was fairly common in Latin, but it meant much or many. We can sometimes find multum used as an intensifying adverb, though not as commonly as valde. Then we have the word bellam, which is the accusative form of the adjective bella, meaning beautiful. In Catalan we have bonica, which is actually a variation of the adjective bo, or bonus in Latin, meaning good. The word bella, coming from Latin bella, is also a Catalan word, meaning beautiful, but it is only used in literary or poetic contexts nowadays. Last but not least, we have habet, which means has, from the verb habeo. Te is the third person singular from the present indicative in Catalan, coming from the word teneo in Latin. This verb used to mean to hold, or hold fast something. This meaning has been retained in Italian as in tenere, but it gradually became the default verb for indicating possession in other Romance languages. This is a particular feature of Ibero-Romance languages, as the same process occurred in Spanish and Portuguese. In older times, as in medieval Catalan, the use of the word haver, coming from habeo, was widespread, but it was gradually replaced by tenir. So what about al and una? Well, al is the singular masculine article in Catalan, coming from the word ille in Latin, meaning that. It has become mandatory in Catalan to use the article in front of possessive pronouns. Then we have una, meaning a. We don't have that in Latin because Latin doesn't have articles, neither definite nor indefinite. Though Catalan, as other Romance languages, obtained an indefinite article by taking the number 1 in Latin, unus. Now that we've talked about the vocabulary, let's get a little bit more into the syntax behind these two sentences. The most noticeable difference here is the word order. In Latin, we have SOV, so subject, object, verb. And in Catalan, as in all other Romance languages, we have SVO, subject, verb, object. Another big difference here, as you can see in the tags that I've made, is that Latin uses cases, while Catalan does not at all. Most of the Romance languages lost all of their cases coming from Latin. With Latin's case system, we can quickly identify what function is each word doing in the sentence. But in Catalan, we can only know by the word order because there's no case marking. The subject can be quickly identified by looking at the ending of each word. So ER in frater is a frequent nominative singular ending in third declension nouns, and US is the main nominative singular mark in the second declension. The word domum and the word vellam can be quickly identified as the object because they both have the accusative singular marked ending, which is M. The use of these different words and grammatical features isn't exclusive to Catalan, as most of the words used in this sentence were already used in early stages of Vulgar Latin, which is the oral form of Latin as spoken by most people back then. This includes the use of a definite article coming from the demonstrative ille, illa, illud, the use of an indefinite article coming from the number 1, the subject-verb-object order, and the use of words like germanus or casa. All words are in the accusative case due to the fact that Western Romance languages like Catalan took the accusative case as the basis for all of their words. Moving on to the next sentence, we have florevo quocumque ferar. It is a Latin phrase that can be translated into English as I will flourish wherever I am brought. The Catalan translation of this Latin phrase is floriré allà on sigui dut. The only common word that we have here is the main verb, so I will flourish, florevo in Latin and floriré in Catalan. While Latin usually adds a be to verbs to conjugate them in active future indicative, Catalan and most of the Romance languages formed their own future tense by taking the Latin infinitive form and adding it the verb habeo, I have. So, floriré can be broken down into florir e, which literally means I have to flourish. This process is repeated for every form in the conjugation. So for you will flourish you get florirás, which means you have to flourish. For he will flourish you have florirá, which is he has to flourish, and so on. The next word, quocunque, is a word that means wherever and is composed of quo, which is Latin for where, or more precisely whither, and cumque, which is a suffix that is used to form indefinite adjectives, adverbs, or pronouns. In Catalan, we don't have this system of indefinite words formation, so we just say there, where. Allà, meaning there, comes from Latin illac, also meaning there or that way, and on, meaning where, comes from Latin unde, meaning from where. In Latin, there are 3 ways to say where. The first one is unde, meaning from where, indicating origin. The other one is ubi, meaning where, indicating location. And the other one is quo, meaning where to or whither, indicating direction. Finally, ferar comes from the verb fero, meaning to carry or to bring. The word fero in Latin is a cognate of the English word to bear. Here, the verb is conjugated in first person singular of the future passive, which is literally equivalent to I will be brought. In Catalan, there is no such conjugation for passive verbs, but instead we have to form the passive using the verb to be, just like in English. So, sigui dut means I am brought. The verb isn't conjugated in future because the future tense isn't used in the same way in Catalan as it is in Latin, so in this context we should instead use the present subjunctive. The verb do, meaning to bring or to carry, comes from the Latin duco, meaning to lead. There is a famous Latin expression that says non ducor, duco, which means I am not led, I lead. The Catalan translation of this expression is no soc guiat, guiu. The Catalan verb guiar doesn't actually come from Latin, but from Frankish, a Germanic language. Again, here Latin uses a specific conjugation of the verb to make the passive while Catalan only adds the verb to be and conjugates the verb in the participle form. As you can see, the Latin language has evolved so much that it is now unintelligible to speakers of modern Romance languages like Catalan. One of the reasons why lies on vocabulary, as the meaning of many words has been shifted and new terms and concepts have arisen. Morphology doesn't help either, as many of the verbal tenses are conjugated very differently, and the lack of a case system makes the Romance languages highly divergent from Latin. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more linguistics. See you in the next one.